Today, we're diving into the topic of woke culture and its impact on our lives. From Hollywood to colleges, this movement is changing the way we think and talk about important issues. Get ready for an exciting ride as we uncover how woke culture affects our daily lives. Let's kick things off with colleges. They are often the first places where woke culture takes hold. Here's Ben Shapiro explaining how this movement started and what it has become.
Not fully identify a gender of a person right when we see them, so therefore I believe that it is not within my own individual liberty to gender that person.
Here's my problem with that particular argument. The answer is that in 99.8%, 99.9% of cases, you absolutely can gender somebody based on looking at them. Like really, if you're going to use intersex people as an example of not being able to do that, this does not obviate the biological duality of sex upon which all progeneration is based for all of human history and for all mammalian species.
So if we're using a Western colonial idea of gender, then why should it apply? If we're using, because the gender binary is a Western colonialist framework of gender.
You're right. Men and women don't exist in any other culture.
No. Think about Native American.
Nailed it.
Third gender people. I'm not saying that. Third gender people exist in Native American societies, Western African societies, like Southern Native American societies, like Mexico. So in other places that are not white dominated,
and they
like the United States or
incorrect.
Europe, and so you're
I'm
saying white, so non-white
incorrect.
people. I'm a mathematician and a physicist. You cannot tell me.
So I have a question.
And also, you're not a biologist.
You have claimed that you oppose medical transitioning for these children, namely and specifically to what normally happens is puberty blockers, which you have called you called it child abuse. Is that correct?
It is. That's correct.
You consider it You consider it child abuse. You consider it child abuse because you believe that a child is not capable of consenting to what you consider are irreversible procedures. Is that correct?
A damaging, irreversible procedure.
Damaging. Okay. Ben, are your children circumcised? Did you circumcise your children?
Yes, I have two sons and they're both circumcised.
Why would you do that? Isn't that kind of hypocritical?
Nope, I'm circumcised. My works just fine.
Why?
Shapiro says that woke culture began as a way to fight for social justice, aiming to address real issues. But over time, he believes it has changed into a movement that can limit free speech and critical thinking. Instead of encouraging open discussions, many colleges create an environment where differing opinions are often shut down. This raises important questions about academic freedom. What happens when students are discouraged from engaging in debates and discussions?
Speak for myself, they tend to automatically...
Guys, don't be rude. Go ahead.
I tend to get belittled a lot, and that comes from men, not necessarily women, right?
So you're saying in your personal capacity, men are belittling you, right? But when you talk about affecting actually a social change, this might be your personal experience, but does that mean that all women are going through this or that all women are experiencing this belittlement by men?
And see, I understand that, but I think also when I listen to you speak and you speak on why you don't like feminism, I hear a lot of anecdotal work and I hear a lot of personal experience, like your experience in that one class that you had, whereas I've had 5-6 classes in my gender studies courses, and I've never experienced that.
People wrongly believe that what's currently happening is our healthcare in America is an example of capitalism and the free markets. It absolutely is not. It is the exact opposite. The fact that you walk in to a clinic, you don't know what anything costs. You're essentially blindfolded. You go to the hospital and then you get a magical bill and they say, oh, that Tylenol that you had, we didn't tell you it cost $400 for one tablet, is just completely wrong. America is not an example of free markets and being able to actually choose. So that is the first problem, is that the bureaucracies, everything behind it just needs to completely die. If we actually had a free market solution to healthcare, and it's interesting because I'm married to someone that's from the UK.
As a non-binary person, what do you have to tell me about my identity? Because I know for a fact I'm not confused.
Okay, next question. Great statement. That's a statement. That's a statement. Okay, you know your identity, you're not confused. Congratulations, sweetheart. Thank you very much for your statement. They want the children to be running, to literally be running around doing everything in society. And that's when you see it starting to permeate. Now a child they think is wise enough to pick their gender, which is stunning to me. I don't know if you followed the story.
To remove their breasts without parental consent.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Candace Owens shares similar views, arguing that universities should be places where different ideas are welcome. However, she believes that many schools now push students to conform to one way of thinking. This not only affects their education, but also how they view the world. Both Shapiro and Owens highlight a concerning trend in higher education where fewer opinions are heard. As we explore further, let's see how these ideas extend beyond colleges. Next, let's look at Hollywood, which has a huge influence on culture. Shapiro and Owens believe that the entertainment industry is now a major player in spreading woke ideas.
That Hollywood despises its own audience, despises it. So, every so often, they will make you, $100 million movie, and that's the one that they give to you. And then there are the ones they do for them. And the ones they do for them, those are all the ones that are featured at the Oscars. Movies like Nomadland, about elderly white people pooping in buckets. Or The Father, about Anthony Hopkins struggling with dementia. Movies like the movie about Fred Hampton, whose name escapes me at the moment, about how the Black Panthers were going to be the saviors of the United States. Or the other movie about how the Black Panthers were going to be the saviors of the United States, written by Aaron Sorkin. Or maybe it's the Borat movie, which is actually actively unfunny, militantly unfunny, but pushes all the right buttons for folks in media land.
Hollywood is as woke as it can be. But overseas, these lofty values of progressive utopia and equality that they shove in our faces magically disappear. Most recently, that happened with the third movie in the Fantastic Beasts series, a spin-off of the blockbuster Harry Potter films. In the new movie, a young Albus Dumbledore, the wizard professor who would later go on to teach Harry Potter and his friends, expresses his homosexual attractions for villain Gellert Grindelwald. In the United States, you can hear Dumbledore say the lines, "Because I was in love with you, and the summer Gellert and I fell in love." But in the Chinese version of the movie, Warner Brothers quietly removed those parts.
That's suspicious.
She's really emotional about this. Let's put it this way. Because I'm not Captain Emotion, I always get suspicious of emotion on cue. But I'm sure she's really emotional about this. She had a really rough childhood, did Oprah Winfrey. I'm sure that her mother endured a lot of stuff. All that said, that phrase, speaking your truth, is so obnoxious. And then to say, speak your truth and have a shot of Meryl Streep. Meryl Streep, like Harvey Weinstein is a god, Meryl Streep. That's how the press treat this. Okay, there's no such thing as your truth. I've said this 1,000 times. There's no such thing as your truth. There is the truth and your opinion.
Shapiro points out that instead of focusing on great storytelling, many films and shows now prioritize a woke agenda. This shift can lead to stories that feel forced or unoriginal. Are we losing creativity in favor of a single narrative?
You may have actually come to believe that we care what you think. But you're wrong. It's offensive that you confuse our admiration for blind faith just because they don't think or vote the way you want them to. You cross a line. You lose touch with reality.
That is so harsh. We don't care what celebrities think?
No, I don't. I certainly don't. I think a lot of Americans are feeling the exact same sentiment in this moment. Patriots are standing up and hearing their voices heard, and that's why Donald Trump is sitting in the Oval Office. I think it's
driving them crazy.
It's driving them absolutely insane. And look, Hollywood has acted almost as a megaphone for the left. It wasn't just Hollywood that was tweeting this. There was also a tweet from Kamala Harris about illegal immigrants in support of illegal immigration.
You think Dylan Mulvaney is a woman and should be included in female spaces. We are being told that you have to lie repeatedly in order to survive in corporate culture. And she is herself a victim of that and a perpetuator of that. So yeah, it's absolutely shameful, and she should feel ashamed that she brought this idea to Bud Light. But I do believe that she was conditioned. I mean, she went to Harvard.
Idiots for not getting the vaccine. So that's totally fine. I am totally open to people having a difference in opinion.
Right.
I would hope that amongst colleagues that it would always be civil disagreement, and I would never in a private event stand on a table and talk badly about Ben.
Owens agrees, stressing that Hollywood should reflect the wide range of views held by its audience. Yet many productions seem more interested in pushing a specific agenda than in telling authentic stories. As we look at the movies and shows dominating our screens, we see how the focus on social messaging can sometimes overshadow the art of storytelling. This raises significant questions about the role of entertainment in shaping society. Finally, let's talk about the everyday effects of woke culture. Both Shapiro and Owens offer insights into how this trend influences our behavior on social media and in daily life.
Major political figure, certainly on the right. I don't see a lot of it happening on the left either. As far as social media, it obviously exacerbates divisions. You can get echo chambers for sure. It's also true that without social media, you don't have an echo chamber. You just have one sort of media hegemony from one particular side of the aisle. So I'm very grateful that social media exists so that you can rebut some of those points. Listen, I'd be a hypocrite to say I don't appreciate social media. It's made me wealthy and famous.
And that is that both Twitter and Facebook, all social media,
is basically something different in human history in the sense that it's just a crowd without a purpose. So it's a crowd looking for a purpose, meaning that throughout human history, when you actually had to have face-to-face interactions with people, the only reason you would show up in a crowd is because the crowd had a purpose. So where were you typically doing this? Is you were going to a church, right? Everybody was there to worship. Everybody was there with a common goal in mind, right? You were a member of the army, and so there's a common goal in mind. Anytime you were getting together, it was because there was a party, so everybody was there for the party. Twitter is legitimately people waking up and just, I want to interact with other humans. There are no other humans around. And so I'm here, and you're here, and we're all here. And look, somebody just said something. There's a common purpose. Let's jump on that. And then there's this backslapping effect. I was on social media and writing columns from the time I was 17. It was a great opportunity, and as it turns out, a great temptation to say enormous numbers of stupid things when you're young. I mean, you're kind of trying out ideas, and you're putting them on, you're taking them off, and social media permanentizes those things and engraves them in stone, and then that's used against you for the rest of your life. So I tell young people this all the time. Like, if you want to be on social media, but don't post. Like, watch. If you want to take in information, and more importantly, you should read books. As far as other advice, I'd say engage in your community. There's no substitute for engaging in your community and engage in interpersonal action, because that will soften you and make you a better person. I've become a better person since I got married. I've become an even better person since I've had kids. So you can imagine how terrible I was before all these things.
Shapiro points out that many people hesitate to share their true opinions online for fear of backlash. This climate of self-censorship can be harmful, limiting open conversations and preventing meaningful exchanges.
President Trump tweeting, social media is totally discriminating against Republican and conservative voices, speaking loudly and clearly for the Trump administration. We won't let that happen. They are closing down the opinions of many people on the right, while at the same time doing nothing to others.
Very real problem. I, as you guys know, was banned off of Twitter, but I also just got out of Facebook jail for 7 days.
Congratulations.
Yes, I didn't make any noise about that one, but there's serious discrimination going on, political discrimination. They are trying to propel voices that are liberal, propel voices that are Democrat, and silence those that are conservative, especially those that support our great president.
And I would say especially minority voices. But what exactly are they afraid of? What do you think? I mean, you're in this world.
Well, they're realizing all of their worst fears, which is that they no longer can control the majority with their lies and their aggressive rhetoric. And people are starting to wake up and understand that they have been duped and they have been lied to. I think for me, listen, I present a new perspective to the minority community. Black Americans, we're seeing the approval ratings for Donald Trump go up in that regard, 36%, the recent Rasmussen poll. So they don't like it. They feel that they're losing control, and they are upping everything that they're doing to stop it.
Owens supports this view, highlighting how people feel pressured to go along with popular opinions. This pressure can lead to a culture where people prioritize safety over honesty, sacrificing genuine expression out of fear of social consequences. Thank you for watching our exploration of woke culture and its effects on society. We've heard powerful insights from Ben Shapiro and Candace Owens, but now it's your turn. What do you think about the way woke culture impacts our daily lives? Do you feel pressured to conform, or do you believe it promotes inclusivity? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more engaging content. Your opinion matters, and we're excited to hear from you.